E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories, broadcasting and live streaming to millions of devices around the world, including Roku, and live streaming to Facebook Live. Also on Amazon Fire TV and to Twitch. Also Android TV and Periscope. Broadcasting to Apple TV and YouTube Live. Proudly brought to you by our host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Michaela Vidal, host and administrator, and Jim Grant, producer and host. Proudly brought to you by the 6minutewebinar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Messages of Inspirational Stories. Jim, for Friday, our last day of Old World Sayings.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had fun taking a trip down memory lane, and we found out some of the origin of some of these old stories and sayings. I should say old sayings, but it's really amazing the story behind them. And sometimes the story where it originated from and the way we use it today is two different, means two different things.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've just evolved that saying into, the century that we're in.
Yeah. It's kind of like that old saying, it's better to be good looking and rich. I guess the Grant family took that seriously. Oh my goodness. We're so glad that you joined us today. We sincerely hope you've had a great week. We hope and pray you have a wonderful weekend. And Don and I both hope and pray that you and your loved ones you're blessed with health and happiness and just blessed in all areas of your life, really.
Absolutely.
And let's see, what's an old saying that we hadn't heard in a while?
Well, I'm looking.
That's a deep subject. Well, there's a deep subject.
It is.
I'm going to take a trip down here through the old wise ones here. And I believe here we go. Yeah. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Oh my goodness gracious. How many times have we heard that one?
A few. Yeah,
that old saying today, there is no universal meaning for beauty. If you looked under the dictionary beauty, well, how would you describe, what would it say? How would you describe it? And it all depends on who it is that's looking, and most importantly, what you're looking for.
Right.
And if you're told you're not beautiful, don't let that affect you, because you will be very attractive to someone for sure. But the main thing to remember is that the inner beauty that we all have.
Right.
As guys, we don't normally think of ourselves as having beauty, but the inner beauty of a person, that is what makes us beautiful. It Absolutely. Really is. As beautiful people, you got a loving heart, you care about people, and you love yourself enough to forgive yourself for things that you've done in the past or something that may be bothering you.
Yep. And you can even turn a blind eye, Jim.
Yeah, I hear you. She's wired today, folks. She's ready for the weekend.
I am. So, to turn a blind eye is just to refer to a willful use to acknowledge a particular reality. Mm-hmm. It dates back to the legendary chapter in the career of British naval hero Horatio Nelson during 1801's Battle of Copenhagen. Nelson's ships were pitted against a large Danish Norwegian fleet. And then when his more conservative officer flagged him for withdrawal, the one-eyed Nelson supposedly brought his telescope up to his bad eye and said, I don't see a signal. So he turned his blind eye.
That's amazing. It really is. Very interesting. Because sometimes in some situations in life, it's best just to use a blind eye, forget about it.
Right.
Especially one of the things that, let me ask you a question, folks. Should we always tell the truth?
Mm.
Now, when I ask that question, most of you would say, well, sure, or at least we should try.
The
But
white
when is it,
lies.
yeah, when is it okay to tell a white lie? Or is it okay to tell a white lie? And
And that's a tough one. And to me, that's something, Jim, that really only each person can decide for themselves at that moment, right?
yep.
So,
Mhm.
you know, I know I have told white lies when my children were little.
Oh, yeah, sure,
You know,
sure.
I told many white lies.
Yeah.
That um, like when they were hurt, or if I got hurt, mommy, are you hurt really bad? No, baby, it's not bad at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mommy, is
understand.
this going to heal real quick? It sure will. Knowing it was going to be, a cut on their leg or what have you. It was going to be a good week, and it was going to bruise, and it was going to get ugly. And
Hmm.
because to me, if I didn't say that, then they would hone in on the fact that they got hurt, and it would make it worse.
Hmm. Yeah. I understand. Also, too, I personally believe, this is my personal belief, I believe it's okay to tell a white lie if you're withholding the truth from someone, regardless whether it's an adult or a child, that would be harmful to them or would be hurtful to them.
Correct.
I mean, if someone is going through, some pain or something like that, and the additional information they may not know of, why throw salt on their wound?
Right.
Just forget about it and let it go. Or if you're asked, just say, I hadn't heard anything more. That's all I know.
Mhm.
Even though you may be telling a white lie, but I think that's a good white lie, me personally.
I
Because
would agree.
hurting someone is just, we've got enough hurt and ugliness in the world today, don't we?
Absolutely,
Wow.
we do. Absolutely, we do.
I think we got enough for our world and about 4 or 5, maybe 6 other worlds.
Absolutely.
Spread it
Abs-
around.
So, Jim, have we talked about crocodile tears?
um, no, I don't think we have.
Okay, so this kind of interesting. So, crocodile tears, when someone cries crocodile tears, and why it's called crocodile tears, because I'm pretty sure crocodiles don't cry. But it just means big, big tears. But it's superficial tears, false
Mhm.
sorrow. And it's actually, the saying is derived from a medieval belief that crocodiles did shed tears of sadness when they killed and consumed their prey.
Oh boy.
And that myth dates back as far as the 14th century. So, yeah, I've never seen them up close killing somebody. I've seen them up close. And I've certainly watched a lot of documentaries on
Hmm.
them.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've not seen any demonstration of feeling bad about killing their prey.
Nah, you won't see it from coyotes, wolves either. You know what I mean?
Right?
But regardless, I guess it's better safe than sorry. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
knows. That's an old saying that we have. It's a wise old saying. Better safe than sorry.
Mhm.
It means safety comes first in many issues of life. You may regret later if you're very reckless. And we can all look back at our youth and we can all say, thank you, sweet Jesus, that you loved me enough, you protected me. Because when you go back when I was young, Donna, I mean, sometimes the way I drive, it's kind of like no brakes and no brains. I mean, it's just, and you look back in life and you're just so thankful that there was a higher intelligence
Oh,
that
yeah.
watched over you,
Oh,
because
yeah.
the best way to avoid being sorry about something is just play it safe and use your wisdom and don't do anything foolish. Play it safe, as I like to say, because it's kind of like the doctor. I said this before in a previous show a couple of times, but when I went in for a physical 55, oh, you're great, physically, maybe 55 inside, you're 40, or whatever. And he says, you realize you can't do what you did when you was 25. And I remember I looked at him, I says, who wants to do that again?
Right. Right. I know, it's funny you brought that up, playing safe and sorry, because my husband and I were talking about silly things we did in our younger, youthful days. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a railroad track not very far from here.
Uh-huh.
And when I had my first car, I had the bright idea of going over the railroad tracks right before the train.
Mm.
And that particular railroad track doesn't have, or didn't have, I don't think they do today, doesn't have that. It just has the flashing lights.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I have a cat in here who's trying to help me. Anyway, and some of the foolish things that we've done in our life, like you said, thank you, Lord. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Going up a mountain in that same car at dusk. And by ASU, and then realizing there's no place to turn around. So I had to back down that mountain in the dark.
Donna, there was a time, the highway's number 18. It comes out of South Carolina, heading to my hometown of Shelby, North Carolina. Highway 18. It's a 2-lane road. I guess it's still a 2-lane road. But, it's curvy. It goes, a bunch of trees and all that. It's main road, of course, but it's, it's not a, anything like a freeway or interstate or anything like that. And believe it or not, we used to drive that road so fast. And what we used to do, now, maybe I shouldn't tell this because there might be some kids listening, but when we're coming into a curve, either to the left or more to the left, but even in the right, you can come into a curve. What we do is cut our lights off and cut them right back on to see if there's any car lights coming from the other way. And if they weren't on the left-hand turn, we would just take the inside corner. If we saw some lights coming, we better get on the brakes or pull a parachute or start praying like a nun at confession,
Yeah, the things we've done,
Mercy.
Things we've done in our youth. It is amazing we're still here at times when you think about it.
Like my dear old dad used to say, it's a wonder, son, if you didn't skin your ignorance at times like that. Hey, that's one of the kiddies, huh?
Yeah, that's Miss Glock. She's feeling her oats today.
We learned a new word today, didn't we, Donna?
We did. I didn't know what it was till Jim told me, and I am a perfect candidate for it.
Yeah. And I'm looking it up right now to make sure I did not misspell it or whatever. Yeah, clowder, Clower, is a group of cats. So if you have 3 or more cats in your house, ladies and gentlemen, you have a clowder, Clowder, of cats. And sometimes you get pretty cloudy in there, can't it, Donna?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Sometimes the fur flies, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, the fur. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, how about this one? I said this yesterday.
Okay.
I was in the kitchen doing something, and I said this yesterday. And this is something that probably everyone's grown up hearing. 6 to 1, half dozen to the other.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Pretty much self-explanatory. It's going to be the same either way. So it's 6 to 1, half dozen to the other.
Yeah, it's like my dad used to say, it's not enough there to argue over.
Right. It ain't a baker's dozen.
Yeah. We covered that earlier. I think it was last week we covered that about the baker's dozen.
And it was,
yeah.
Go ahead.
The way it came about was that bakers in the old, I forget what time period it was, but it's centuries ago, if their loaves were supposed to weigh so many ounces or, so much weight. And sometimes the 12 loaves that they would make would be less weight than normal. And there was a heavy penalty for that.
Right.
So what they would do to make sure they didn't, get caught or have to pay a penalty and be embarrassed and all that, they would give it the 12 loaves and put an extra loaf on it, making it 13, and it became known as the baker's dozen. That's how it came about.
And I didn't know what that meant for years until my mom always used it. And I finally said, Mom, why do you always say that? A baker's dozen. A dozen is a dozen. It's 12. And she laughed. She said, no, baby, in the, thank you. Everyone meet Glock. In the old days, when you'd go and ask for a dozen, you'd always get an extra. And so absolutely, absolutely. Love that.
Oh, yeah. Very interesting. It really is how these things came about. And we've all heard business before pleasure. And, that simply means exactly what it says. Take care of business before you start enjoying yourself.
Right.
Because if you're focused on the pleasures of life, you will never take care of business. And the reason that's harmful for you is because as you're given blessings in life and opportunities in life, these are gifts to you to use your knowledge, your traits, your internal gifts to be able to bless others. And easily when you don't do that, guess what happens? The energy just starts fading from you.
Yep.
It 100% of the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, how about this one? I know we haven't discussed this.
Okay.
Die Hard.
Say again?
Die Hard.
Oh, I almost did one time.
Die Hard. Well, it typically refers to somebody with a strong dedication for a particular set of belief.
Oh, yeah.
But it originally had a series of much more literal meanings. In its earliest incarnation in the 1700s, the expression described condemned men who struggled the longest when they were executed by hanging. And they became diehards.
Mercy.
So again, that's a classic example of how that definition has changed over the years. Now we're diehard fans, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Diehard fans means to us today, we're not going to change regardless of the win and loss record or speaking of a sports team.
Go Buckeyes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I tell you, it's just, of course, one of the phrases that gets used a lot, and I think misused to some degree, especially when it comes to exercise at a gym, no pain, no gain. Oh my goodness. I went to my cardio rehab yesterday and I really worked out, and the therapist there, she says, I want you to sit here for a few minutes before I take your blood pressure because your heart rate was really up. She says, did you get lightheaded? And I said, no, I'm fine. I'm just a little tired, of course. But anyway, there's no pain, no gain. When your body has pain, your body is telling you, hey, you've pushed me past the limit.
Right.
Or I need a rest period, And some guys and some gals too, they figure, hey, pain, hey, you got to have pain to gain and all that stuff. And that's the only place that's thick is in between the ears,
Well, and of course, like if you start exercising and you want to get in shape,
right,
and you haven't been, you're gonna be sore, and that's natural.
Sure.
So I'll take this back a few years, few years.
Okay.
I ran for amateur athletics union, right? And I ran sprints, and I remember getting up one day in the morning, got up out of bed, was walking out of my room. When I got out of bed, I took 2 steps and fell flat on my face. And what had happened was I'm very, very prone to shin splints. And because I ran so much that the shin splints were so bad, I remember crawling out of my room because the shin splint is literally when all the muscles come off of the bone because you've worked it so hard. And so what I heard, now I'm no doctor, but that once you have shin splints that bad and repeatedly, you always have a tendency to have them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that no pain, I didn't know it that day or the day before from practicing. It didn't catch up until about the day I couldn't walk. And obviously, because it was so bad, the pain, I couldn't run or practice for a couple of days until that, settled back down.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to like Donna was saying, there it comes exercise. We're now in March. It's the spring of the year, and people might want to say, hey, I want to get out and exercise. The weather's getting a little nicer, or when it does get a little nicer, depending on where you live. Use common sense. If you're over 40 or something like that, get a physical checkup first. At least get a baseline of your health. See if there's any issues. Tell the doctor what you're going to do. In case there's any type of a area of concern, I'll say. And then do it moderately. Read up on type of exercise you could
Build
do.
up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. We used to have to run 2 miles in the military for our physical training every time we had a PT test. And I learned a secret. It was not a secret, but I learned it by myself. How to compete and be able, when I say compete, be able to run and finish in my allotted time in the 2 mile run. And ladies and gentlemen, I never ran one step before I got on that track for my PT test, but I passed it much easier than before. And what I did, I started riding bicycles
Hmm.
because bicycles will build up your muscles in your legs, your
Oh, yeah.
knees, and all that.
Your
I
glutes,
mean,
everything.
yeah, because I would run and I'd run and I'd run and I'd be panting like a horse, you know, and I just could not see any improvement. But once I started using the bicycle, and I used to always like to come back up that hill there and do that burn, go as hard as I can.
Hmm.
I come home, my legs would be burning, the muscles would, and and that was the way that I learned how to run. But see, I used a bicycle to help develop my muscles and make them stronger, whereas normal jogging would not. And it
Right.
won't, not like a bicycle or using some type of a device to help, like a rowing machine or something like that.
Rowing machines are wonderful.
Oh yeah, we got one here at the house, and it is a wonderful exercise. It really is. But I guess the kitty wanted to say something, huh?
Pretty much.
It's pretty bad when you get trumped by a cat, But just use common sense when you start out with your exercise, because when you experience pain a little bit, understand, okay, no pain, no gain. That's true, but your
To a
body
point.
still needs to rest some. Respect
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And
Otherwise, Jim, you know what would happen? Your body's going to read your body the Riot Act.
oh yeah, I thought she's going to say something's going to hit the fan.
No. So angry parents in today say, I might read them the Riot Act for their unruly children, give them the old, hey,
Hmm.
you shouldn't be doing that. But in the 18th century England, the Riot Act was a very real document, and it was often recited out loud to angry mobs. Instituted in 1750, the Riot Act gave the British government the authority to label any group of more than 12 people a threat to peace.
Hmm.
In these circumstances, a public official would read a small portion of the Riot Act and order the people to disperse themselves
Mhm.
and peaceably depart to their habitations. So the law was later put into test in 1819 during the infamous Peterloo massacre, in which the cavalry unit attacked a large group of protesters after they appeared to ignore a reading of the Riot Act.
Wow,
Interesting.
really is. I knew it had some type of a background of, I don't want to say violence, but it was explained to them very, very, very plainly, with some
Right.
thumb therapy,
Right.
but I didn't know it was all that. I really didn't.
Yeah. Kind of interesting. Kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Hmm. This one here is a principle. It's a proverb, but we've heard it, and you've probably said it you've either said it or you've heard it said to you, chances are. As you sow, so shall you reap. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my goodness gracious. That is a wonderful proverb, a wonderful principle to remember and live your life by. Because if you want a better life for you and your family, you need to prepare today. So the actions that you do today and the way that you treat others and just everything about you, what makes you you, what makes you tick.
Right.
This is going to definitely reflect what you're going to reap in the future. Just like a farmer, if a farmer plants corn in the spring, he's going to expect corn in the fall.
Right.
And you cannot expect to sow, bad things and be meanful and spiteful and filled with negative energy. And we're going to talk about some negative energy here in a minute. Donna, I'm going to turn the mic over to you. But it's very important because if you sow that, what do you think is going to be come back and thrown right in your face?
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I heard my folks saying that, be
yeah,
careful. Be careful how you act, young lady, because when you have kids one day, you're going to reap what you sow.
that's for sure. Yeah. I mean, I heard my dad say, explain it like this. My dad had a very unique way of expressing himself, but you never really misunderstood the old boy. He said, when you reap what you sow, that's like looking into a mirror when you're real ugly. And so, anyway, it's one of those, you'd have to know him to appreciate that. But anyway, like uh, Donna has a website here, donnaguimwa.com. And her email address is real easy to remember, high energy right now at gmail.com. A, a complimentary 30-minute consultation help you find out what's blocking your energy. Because if you'd like to reap something that's worth reaping and something seems to be holding you back, because I'll tell you something, people are more, and you've heard this, but people are more afraid of success than they are failure.
True.
And the way you can measure that in your mind, if you're working on a project, you're going to have 40 different negative things fly up in your mind. Oh, what if this happens? What if that happens?
Right.
Let all that junk go, because
Mm-hmm.
all that junk going on in your head is like standing in the middle of a whirlwind and you're trying to see the road ahead of you. You can't, because you got all this debris flying around you and dust and things
Absolutely.
in your eyes. And it's important for you to understand that. And when it comes to high energy right now, Donna went through a very traumatic time, 3 brain surgeries. And really, what she did, she was trying to find her own peace and comfort. She was trying to deal with that. And she did. And then she realized, hey, somebody else may be able to benefit from that. And Donna, tell me a little bit about your website there and the things you
Well,
went through. Anything you want to share, please.
well, the website just kind of explains who I am and pretty much my philosophy. And
Hmm.
in all full disclosure, it is not updated. It does need to be updated.
Hmm.
Working on that here very soon. But going through that, raising 3 children on my own, the day I was going in to schedule my first brain surgery was the day one of my doctors told me I was diagnosed with MS. So it was like a whole compound thing, right? And I do have a very bald sense of humor, so I would make light of it. Like when I found out I had the aneurysm, I'd walk into the kitchen, even though I was deeply concerned about it. I didn't want my children to be concerned about it. So I'd say, hey, let me in here, let me in here. And they're like, in a minute, Mom. I'm like, hey, I got an aneurysm. You better let me through. And they're like, Mom, that's not funny. I know. And I wonder why they are, how they are today.
Yeah,
But even through all that, it was really quite a depressing time. And
sure.
so I searched and studied and found my way through it. And you know what it came down to, Jim?
What's
3 things: a person, a place, or a thing,
Mm.
or a combination thereof. And those, because we're just human, folks, that's what gets in our way. But we don't always know it. We
Hmm.
can't always identify what it is from the past, from the, that happened years ago or happened a month ago. It's still in the past, but we carry it forward and it blocks our energy. So we're back here, right? And we know we want to go forward, but we can't because we're stuck. And so that's what I do is I help people identify exactly where they're stuck to release them from that baggage and empower people to take life in their own hands and go forward and live the best that they can be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because you owe yourself that.
Life is too short to be miserable, people.
Yeah, it really is. And you're entitled to the love and abundance of the universe because as Mr. Bill Heinrich, I'm going to hold up his book here, The 7 Levels of Truth.
I'll find it, Jim.
Okay. That's Mr. Bill right there.
There's his website, folks.
TrueLifePurposeNow.com. And Bill's an expert. I mean, he has spent, that book there was 25 years plus in the making.
Right.
And Bill tells us, I've heard him say several times how he walked away from his life, everything, and all he took with him was his name. There was a lot of things going on, had a lot of baggage in his life, and he was trying to figure out why he was so miserable and didn't love himself. And he discovered that we're born into a world of survival in the physical. And everything in the physical is limited to planet Earth. And, it's just amazing how he talks about, just let go of stuff that bothers you.
Right.
Have options, don't make decisions, have options. And he talks about, enjoy the love and abundance of life because that is something that you are entitled to. I don't care if you got a penny in your pocket or not. I don't care if you got any money at all. You are a human being. You are a person. You want to be loved and you need to love others because we're all social creatures.
Absolutely.
And bless your heart, you're entitled to the love and abundance of this universe. No government can legislate it, regulate it, or strangulate it. No government can authorize it, and no government can take it away. It really can't.
Nope.
Any more than they can command the sun to rise in the west and set in the east. I'd like to see them pull that off.
But I will say this. You have to decide because the only person who can take it away is you. You
That's
have
right.
the power to commandeer and command your life.
And one of the things that I had struggle getting up to speed on,
What's that?
and that's when I heard Earl Nightingale say, whenever you ask something from the universe or ask something, it's yours.
Yep.
You already own it. The universe cannot deny you. I'm going like, help me on this one here. I can't get out of low and I can't get up to a higher gear on that. But this YouTube channel, and incidentally, Bill Heinrich, he will give you a complimentary 30-minute consultation to help you. So between Donna and Bill, that's 1 hour right there, folks. And right here's another 30 minutes, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to that and you get in touch with Donna and Bill, or Donna or Bill, I'm telling you, it's just going to what's the old saying, let the scales fall from the eyes or whatever that old saying is.
The veil.
The veil?
The veil fall from the eyes.
Okay, all right. That's why Donna's here. She keeps me straight. That's a full-time job.
It is.
But really, this will enable you to realize how specially created you were. And if someone is talking down to you, tries to belittle you, if they're jealous of you, whatever it might be, that has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with them. Love them and forgive them. And in some cases, it may be beneficial to you and your health, your physical and mental health, to
let them go.
Let them go. Yes.
Absolutely.
And as the old saying goes in that broken Spanish, el mucho, el adioso, and goodbye-o. I said it was broken Spanish,
Yeah, I'm just wondering how your wife responds to you when you say that.
Oh, very easily. I mean, we've been married 51 years, and just the other day we're riding over the College Station to see the doctor, and I said something, and she just looked over at me and rolled her eyes and looked out the window. I don't know why that was funny. You know, I was from the bottom of my little thumping gizzard.
Uh-huh. The thumping gizzard. Oh my gosh.
But truthfully though, half the time I love teasing her like that because I know the response I'm gonna get. That's half the
Right,
fun.
right.
Think about the times let's get off script here a little bit. Think about the times that you love to play a innocent joke, not a
Mm,
harmful joke, but an innocent joke on someone. And half the fun of it is because you know exactly how they're going to react.
Yep. I did that once to my husband. I knew he was going to be getting out of the shower. And so I took all his clothes and hit him.
Then hollered fire.
Comes out in his towel wrapped around his waist, arms on his hips. All right, where's my clothes? Oh, I knew
How
he'd
should
do
I
it.
know? Am I thy clothes keeper?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, yesterday I sent him this text. I said, honey, would you cook hamburgers tonight from Culver's?
Oh
And
boy.
it's amazing. Dinner, it tasted just like it came from Culver's.
Oh goodness. That's one of them
Oh,
strong hints, you might say.
right, right. Kind of good. Well,
Oh
what
yeah.
about this one, Jim? By and large,
Mm. I've heard that a lot.
yeah. So, um, it's a lot of the phrases that we've talked about are actually nautical in origin.
Yeah.
Taken aback, loose cannon, high and dry, all
Hmm.
originated at sea. But the most surprising example is the saying by and large. As far back as the 16th century, the word large was used to mean the ship was sailing with the wind at its back. Meanwhile, much less described by or full and by, meant the
Hmm.
vessel was traveling into the wind. So again, very nautical. And I never knew that by
Hmm.
and large. Kind of
Absolutely.
interesting, right?
It really is because, sometimes in life, first things must be first. First things first. You ever heard that?
Hmm.
And I've heard that all my life. First things first. Okay, well, what does that really mean? It's a very old saying, and it just simply means that priorities must come first.
Hmm.
So anytime you're doing something, prioritize. If you got a five or six, seven, eight, nine things to do, prioritize them. One,
Right.
two, three, and if you can, put the rest of them away and just focus on that one. And I'll tell you a secret. I used to, and I say it's a secret. I've said it on the show before, but I used to make a list of things. I still do, but I used to get upset at myself for the things I didn't get done. I mean, if I had eight things to do and I got three things done that day, the five things still pending would just grind me. And Donna, with your experience, if I shared that with you, what would be your advice to me on how to look at those other five things that I did not do?
Be, you sometimes can't get everything done. And when
Hmm.
we expel too much energy
Hmm.
into what we didn't get done, we're not in rewarding ourselves in the right energy for what we
Hmm.
did get done. And we are not patting ourselves on the back and
Yeah,
giving ourselves grace. You've
yeah.
heard me say it before. I will say
Hmm.
that terminology till the day I die.
Hmm.
Give yourself grace. Give
Oh, yeah.
everybody grace. It is
Hmm.
so needed for everybody. And you know what? It's the biggest gift when I learned to give myself more grace and give other people grace. It was the single one
Hmm.
biggest gift I could give.
And do it with enthusiasm, just like I'm going to treat myself today. I'm going
Right.
to, give myself grace. I'm going to forgive myself of the things that are bothering me. But Donnie
Absolutely.
hit it right on the head when she says, be grateful for the three things I did get done and
Because
give
they're off your
thanks for
plate.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're off your plate.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes
exactly.
we can't get everything done,
Amen.
right?
Now, if we did, we'd make a longer list, wouldn't we? We're just bears for punishment.
Right, we would. We absolutely would, and that was one of the things that I really struggled with, Jim,
Yeah, me too.
when my diagnosis with MS came, and then the brain surgeries, and how long it took me to recover to be able to speak a full sentence again.
Uh-huh.
And because of the MS, I do tire easy. Just
Oh,
not even going
yeah.
to lie about that. I get more sleep now than I ever have in my life. And it was very, very difficult for me to sit down and say, it's okay. You didn't get any that done. You had a day of rest.
Mm-hmm.
That's giving myself grace,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I needed at the moment. And if I
Mm-hmm.
don't get everything done, or all the housework isn't done, it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
because you cannot make yourself
Yeah.
be crazy trying to get everything done. You can't
Yeah.
make yourself wore out trying to get everything done,
Mm-hmm.
because in the end, then you're absolutely no good for yourself or anything you're trying to do.
Amen, Donna, because I know Donna very well, and in her life, you know, it would be unfair to say that she goes at one speed, which is wide open. But my point being, when she drives a car, you can tell the roads Donna's been on, because if she's going this way, all the signs are leaning this way. And I know that she has such energy and drive in her as a person, and such a hands on type of a person, that it would grind her when she could not do the things she wanted to get done. And so dealing with that takes maturity, it takes patience, and it takes that G word. What was that G word you were using earlier about giving yourself?
Grace.
Yes, where is Grace anyway? I was hello to her.
Well, and it takes wisdom to know when you have to give yourself that grace,
Yes,
that
yes.
that grace. It takes wisdom,
Hmm.
and you have to listen to your body. And
Hmm.
and like I said, that was the single hardest thing I had to learn how to do, was
Hmm.
say I can't do and go at that breakneck speed that I'm used to doing,
Oh yeah,
right? That was difficult.
yeah.
So, sometimes it takes me an hour longer to do something than it
Oh yeah.
normally would. Well, so be it.
Mm.
It's still getting done.
And implement a sense of humor in whatever you do there, because yeah, I tell people, like when I got my retirement document in from the military, I thought, wow, it kind of hit me, because now this is a final chapter. I can no longer wear the uniform. I no longer can associate with my military family as far as, serving with them. And I tell people, wow, this getting old was a new experience for me, because I've been young all my life, at least mentally.
Right?
And make a joke out of things, because sometimes we take this thing called life too seriously, and it
Oh,
grinds on us. Oh my goodness gracious.
it does. It does. That is, to me, humor is one of the most important aspects of life.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really lucky, because my husband has a very warped sense of humor like I do. So, so between the two of us, but I can honestly say that in the 5 years that we've been together, that there may have been, that I can recall, one day that we didn't laugh. One day.
Wow. Mm.
And it's very, very important. Humor
Mm.
is right up there, because
Oh yeah.
life is too serious. So
It really is. It really is. And you can really get caught up in it and make yourself miserable, and misery loves company.
mhm.
You know?
Well, I'll give you a little example. I sent him a text today, and I said, well, I got to go by the bank this afternoon, and then go to the grocery store, and then I'm going to spend my kids' inheritance. I said, I've got to get gas. I know. So he sends me a text back and he says, honey, do you need more money? I'm like, what are you talking about? And I said, all I meant was that gas is so dadgum expensive right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I could say something negative about, but I won't. I won't because that individual does not deserve any time in my life because it's negative, and I love the person. Let him go and just say, feel sorry for him in a way, And I mean, it's just pitiful. He's pitiful situation. It really is.
mhm,
But what I was laughing at too, because misery loves company. That's an old saying, and
mhm.
I slid that under the mat underneath Donna's feet there. But when it talks about misery loves company, goodness, I've heard that a lot, and people that like that, they like to talk drama all day. They want to make your life a drama also. The one thing that I really dislike is that when someone is telling you their story, their drama, and if you don't buy into it and kind of like join their get on their emotional roller coaster and ride with them, they get upset with you.
Right.
You ever notice that?
Hmm.
And that's why I say, hey, listen, deal me out. I can't play this hand
I
because,
won't.
yeah, they want you to get caught up in it because they're toxic people.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying that they're toxic. They caught up in this negative energy.
They're toxic to you. They may not
Yeah.
be toxic to somebody else,
Mhm.
but for you, I've gotten rid of a lot of people in my life who were toxic.
Yeah.
There's just no place for it in my world. There's no
Yeah.
place for it in my life.
Yeah. They want to get you toxic too, intoxicate you, you might say,
Right?
with their misery and their mindset because they want you to be part of their life.
They want you to stir the pot with them.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And
And they want
it's,
to you to taste the spoon first.
yeah, exactly. Because we're social creatures and no one wants to be left behind or left alone. I've known people say, well, I prefer to be by myself, and this and that. Well, that's all sounds good. But in your hour of need, everybody needs somebody.
Absolutely.
They sure do.
Mhm.
They sure do. And I'll tell you right now, I had a lot of people saying prayers for me when I was getting ready to go under the knife there from open heart surgery. And people talk about how well I did. The nursing staff and the doctors that you were up walking, the next day and doing all these wonderful things. I got operated on Monday. And Wednesday, I got up and I took a shower because I had not had a shower since Friday morning. And I mean, I just can't live like that.
Right.
I got up and took a shower and I shaved and all that. Then I went down the hall and got a cup of coffee. And everybody says, wow, you just had open heart surgery 2 days ago.
Right.
And this one nurse, she says, she was telling me around Thursday or Friday because I got on Saturday. She said, I've worked in cardiac unit here for about 4 years. She says, I've never seen anyone, do the things that you can do. And this is not an ego type of thing I'm on now, so don't misunderstand me. But it just goes to show you my warped sense of humor. She says, I've never seen anybody do what you could do. You're 73 years of age. And I said, well, don't tell anybody. Let me let you know a secret. She says, what's that? I said, I'm kind of dumb. I don't think I knew the difference. Kind of slow in between the ears, you might say.
Right. Right. Oh my gosh. Oh
No
my.
cruise control button in between them.
Well, it is funny because, I've had obviously great great
Oh,
nurses,
yeah.
you know, but I remember when I had my main brain surgery, I kept buzzing the nurse because I was in ICU saying I'm hungry. And they kept
Mhm.
bringing me in all this like jello and broth and crap like that. And I get on my phone and I call my girlfriend and I said, look, is there any way you can bring me something to eat? We're starving. My youngest daughter was in there with me. She's like, yeah, I'm going right by a Wendy's. What do you want? So I told her. So I told the gal, I said, look, I'm going to get some food here. She said, no, you're on a liquid diet. You have to have.
Oh,
I said, you get a hold of my doctor and you do it right now because I got food on the way and I will be eating it.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so, and she, of course, she was just following what she needed to do. But
Right.
holy moly! So my doctor came in, and he's like, Donna, what are you doing? I said, I'm starving. He's like, okay. And I said, I've got food coming up. So he's like, all right, let me run some tests. He
Yeah.
said, do you really have food coming? I'm like, yeah, you know me.
Yeah.
So, I, went through the little tests with him, make sure I was okay. And he's like, all right, go ahead and eat. And I'm like, well, that's good because I was going to eat whether you told me to or not.
When you were talking, it reminded me of a guy that I knew back in the 1980s, and wonderful guy. He had a few mishaps that happened in his life. He wound up in the hospital 2 or 3 times, and one time he was in a bad car accident, almost killed him. And he was in there, and, and me and him, we were out one night, and we were just visiting. And he said, you know what, Jim? If I'm ever anywhere, and I asked the guy what he does for a living, if he sells, I sell lime jello to hospitals, I'm going to whoop his beep. Because how do they come up with lime jello? I mean, some people out there might like it, and broth's okay, but I mean, it can only go so far. It might be a good appetizer to get your taste buds alive, but then bring
Well,
on
I
the
tell
real
you,
stuff.
I don't mind broth with some chicken and vegetables in it, or
Yeah. You know what? Evie makes her own broth at home because
I
she
do
says the
too.
canned stuff has got too much sodium in it and stuff like that. With your
I make
heart,
all my own broth: beef broth, beef stock, chicken broth. I make all my own.
We got a few minutes left, a couple of minutes. Tell us about when you. I'm serious. I mean, when you make a broth, how do you start? What are some of the ingredients? Just pick out. Let's say chicken broth, for example.
Celery, onions, carrots, and a little garlic, and lots of spices, lots of pepper in the bottom.
Okay.
And
you say lots of spices. So you mean like red pepper and
black pepper.
Black
I use
pepper?
black pepper. I use garlic. Depending on what I'm making, it kind of depends on what kind of spices I use, because it's kind of an inside family joke that I have is many spices are more than Kroger grocery store. But
I hear you.
And then I cook it down until the chicken's done, and then when I pull the chicken out and strain the broth, the carrots are falling apart, the onions are falling apart, the celery's falling apart, and then you get all those flavors have melded in together. And then if you don't want the little pieces, you just strain it, run it through a wire strainer so that you have a clear broth for future use. But that's good stuff.
Oh yeah, it really is. It's healthy for you too. It's
Well,
healthy for you too.
it is. And we just got turned on to an air fryer. I know they've been around a while, but I couldn't find what I wanted. So we got Emerald Lagasse all-in-one. It's a dehydrator, air fryer, bake, does it all. That is the pajamas. Man, is that the pajamas. I love that thing.
It's a good thing it's Friday afternoon. The show's almost over because I'm getting hungry. One of the things that I like to do, because I just do this when I'm at a place, and a little waitress be there in the restaurant, and I'll look at her and I'll say, when I ask for salt, and she'll bring it over, I say, is that iodized salt or is it sea salt?
Oh, Jim.
Because sea salt makes my stomach wishy-washy. And she'll look at me. Yeah. And she'll look at me and she'll kind of like, what train did you fall off?
I love it. I love it.
Because this one girl looked at me, she says, oh, I just thought salt was white. I didn't know.
Oh, that is so funny. That is so funny. Yuck.
My goodness. And if you want any of those good recipes from Donna or something like that, just email her directly at highenergyrightnow@gmail.com. And I'm serious about that because she's a fantastic cook. She'll be glad to share anything with you. If you want a recipe for, whatever, she'll be glad to help you if she can. If not, she can refer you somewhere you can get it. Also,
If
too,
I can't help you, I refer you to Jim's email.
okay, which is inspirationd360tv.com. That's our that's our email here at the station. The staff gets it. You just pulled my plug on that one there. Oh my goodness! Aren't you glad it's Friday? I'm glad it's Friday, but you
Right.
know, you see what Donna's got to put up with, and what we have a ball of fun here. We hope
We do.
we hope you've enjoyed the last 2 weeks talking about these old sayings. We hope you took a trip down memory lane.
And we hope you've laughed.
Yes.
We hope we've brought you back to that time in your life when, you know, that memory popped up and it made you feel really good inside.
Oh,
and we
yeah.
hope that you've laughed and relaxed and enjoyed yourself a little bit.
Yeah, you ought to play it, you know, have a little fun, you know, with your family members, get 2 or 3 of them together and say, when so-and-so walks in the door, let's all just start laughing. And look at the response you're going to. Now, you better make sure you pick the right one on this one.
Right.
You don't want to pick somebody that's got a short fuse and explosive temper, you know. That would not be good. But we've done that before, you know, and in the military, you know, we played jokes like that on, you know, when someone comes in, or we've been in class. Are there any questions? We pass a note around, everybody raise their hand, you know, that sort of thing. So anyway, look for ways to have fun.
Absolutely.
Look for ways to laugh, because laughter doesn't cost you anything, but it pays dividends to your health, your mental health, your physical health, and you.
Mm-hmm.
And please get in touch with Mr. Bill Heinrich at Donna Guinois, and be sure and look at that YouTube video by, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. Treat yourself. I want you to say that with me. Treat yourself. This weekend, I want you to treat yourself. Find some way to treat yourself, something that you enjoy. Absolutely. We'll see you on Monday.
Bye.
Have a good weekend, folks. Bye-bye.